and hopefully pull up my code and get everything situated here. I'll make sure that everyone can see the code as I'm coding. I have this horrible tendency of just showing this picture while I am coding and talking about the code. Nobody can see it, which is a bummer. All right, main view, code, and where is our game view? Okay, so I have basically not changed this at all since the last live stream, except I added basically a wind resistance. So the Flappy Phoenix can flap. There's acceleration. There's gravity. Once it falls off the bottom, it just kind of kills the game loop and stays there. This wind resistance is really simple. So basically, the Flappy Phoenix has a Y position, which is how high it is on the screen. dy, like change in the Y. So that's the acceleration downward. And then that's the velocity downward. Then ddy is the acceleration downwards, which is just gravity. So every tick, it accelerates by 0.005 pixels per tick. This is kind of the main game loop right here. Got a handle info on tick, and every loop through this, I do a process send after itself, tick, and then tick interval. Oh, the tick interval is 34 milliseconds. So this is about it's about 30 times per second that this tick happens, and each tick we update the bird's position by whatever its acceleration was, and we update, or by whatever its velocity was. We update the velocity with the acceleration, and I've added this wind resistance. So we're basically whatever the velocity is, it gets multiplied by 0.995. So it loses 0.5% of its acceleration each tick. That way, if it's going really fast, it kind of hits a terminal velocity, kind of like wind resistance. Yeah, we're basically just looking for space keys, and when we get a space key, the bird's velocity is decreased since y axis is pointed down. So you get a bigger y number, you go further down the screen. It's decreased by the flapping power of the bird. So if you hit the spacebar a bunch of times, it's got some velocity that takes a while to get slowed down by gravity. Okay, so we're doing walls this time. I got a new graphic for this, which is called just Vine. I've got a middle section, and then they were really big, but I resized them down to 40 by 40. I'll show you the big one here, though. Got this middle section, and then got a top section. So you can have like however many segments of the vine you need, and then it'll end in this little top thing. And that'll be just like the pipes are in the actual Flappy Phoenix. So we're gonna make a rule for these in our CSS. I guess we'll just call it .vine. It's gonna be position absolute. So actually, let me go to our game screen here. So we've got a game section, and that is basically the container for everything in the game. If we put something position absolute inside of it, then it'll be to the top of that container. Or if we set the top to 0, or if we set the bottom to 0, it'll be at the bottom. So we'll just make div.vine. And since there are two types of segments I want to show, we'll make a div.top, which will be for the top part of the vine, and then another one for the middle part. So we should have 0 changes. I'll just type mid here, type top here, so we can see them. So there's the top of our vine. There's the middle. I actually want to make it I'm going to start with the vine that's coming upward from the bottom, though. So we'll say vine position absolute and bottom 0. And it's just going to be a 40 by 4. Well, the segments are going to be 40 by 40. But so we can see what we're doing, I'm going to give this a height of 160 pixels and a width of 40 pixels. And a background, no background here. Background will be on .vine.mid. And this is going to be position absolute also. Whoa there. Thank you. And the bottom will still be 0. And the height, so this vine is in the middle. Actually, we'll just make it 100% for now. That'll take up, this midsection will take up 100% of the space available inside of the vine. And width is 40 pixels. And we need a background image. That's going to be URL images / vine-mid.png. And I do not see it. Background image URL looks good. Position absolute width 40, height 40. Looks pretty good. Maybe it's because I said bottom 0. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so here is Vine. Oh, the URL is not good. Image / oh, it should be images. Oh, there we go. So it doesn't look quite right. It's like we're going 40 too low. So let's change this here. So bottom 0, height 160, width 140, height 140. That looks okay. Top. Don't think I need the top. Oh, it looks like it's just pushed down exactly by the amount that the text takes up for top. So we'll get rid of this. And we'll get rid of this. Maybe a little harder to select it. Okay, so that's our vine. We've got our 4 segments since it's 160. Now instead of making the whole thing that mid segment, what I really want to do is make the top segment of it the other image. So we'll make a vine. Oh my gosh, I did it again without. Oh no, with it. So you can see the code, right? Yeah. Yes, just DOM nodes. .vine.top. Okay, good. Yeah, I've had like 3 or 4 live streams. It's really kind of sad. But I've had 3 or 4 times where I'm in this view, just answering questions or something. And then I go back to code, and I don't switch out of this view. And then I'll be talking about some code I'm looking at, thinking everyone can see it, and someone will be like, Am I supposed to be able to see this code? All right. So .vine.top, position absolute for this as well. And height is going to be exactly 40 pixels. The width is going to be 40 pixels, and background image is going to be images / vine top.png, and top is going to be 0. Okay, looks like we do have it showing up, but we've also got the midsection. So we'll change this to a calc 100% minus 40 pixels. That's weird. So it's like completely disappeared. Because I did that to width. Okay. Let me just do that, and then we'll undo that change. And we'll go up here and make the height that. It's not quite right. So height is 100 minus 40 pixels. The height's right, but the top has to be 40 pixels. So yeah, now the mid is pushed down by 40, and the top takes up that 40. And let's make this a little bit bigger. Get 240. Give it a couple more segments. Okay, so that's how we do the vine, or the barrier. The pipe is what it would be in Flappy Bird. From the top of from coming up from the bottom, then there's going to be another part of the vine that's hanging down. So this will be vine.hanging, and this one is still going to be position. Well, it's already going to be absolute. This will inherit that from the vine. So what we're really doing is going to set the bottom back to auto, because we want the top to be 0. We want it to be affixed to the top of the game area. And then to flip it upside down, we'll just do a scale transform. Is it transform? Transform scale, I believe. Transform. Maybe it's scale. Scale, transform. Transform scale Y. There we go. Transform scale Y negative 100%. Should just invert it vertically. And let's add hanging to this. Boom, it's from the top. So we can just copy, paste these 4 lines down. We'll have a hanging vine, and then we'll have a normal vine coming up from the bottom. And we're gonna want it to cover up all but a small gap. I think the total height, actually I don't have to guess. We can just pretend we're gonna take a screenshot here. Well, actually, I can just look at my CSS. I set it for the game. 720. So 600 would be 40 times 15. So this is 18. And we want 1 for a gap. So we can use up to 16 times 40 space. So let's do 13 times 40. So that'd be 400, 520. Is that right? Oh no, because we're doing a top and bottom. So it'd be 240 on one of them and I'm trying to think how I want to do this. I think I'll take it out of here, and I'll just manually add the height in here. So style equals height 240 px for this one, and height will be 400 px for this one. So I think I want one less gap. So it'll be 440. Yeah, that looks about the right amount. So let us go back to the code and keep track. We'll add another struct. So we've got a struct for the bird. We'll add one for the vine here. And you know what? I'm just gonna leave the code up over here for now. Well, doesn't matter. This is better to be able to see the chat, so I won't do that. I'll just go back to the code here. So the vine is a struct that has it has an X position, and we'll just start off with the X position at 19, which will be way on the left side of the screen. It's got a gap, which is how high up that gap is. Right now, the gap should be at 10, I believe. 440 times, okay, so it's at 11. And does it have anything else? It's also got a velocity because it's moving this way. So we'll just say the change in X each frame will be -1. So now we've got the vine. We've added it in the mount. So we should be able to access it in our main game loop where we're handling the tick. So we're getting the bird out of the socket. We will also get the vine out of the socket. And we won't do anything with it yet. But we'll make a function. So we've got this bird position function that injects the CSS for the bird up here. We really want one of those for the hanging vine and then one for the vine. And I guess both of those will include how far left the bird is. So we'll make a function called hanging. It takes a vine and it spits out some CSS. So left is going to be, let's make another function called left. Well, we'll just grab it out of the vine. So left is going to be vine dot x times 40 pixels, and height is going to be 40 times, let's get back here. Height is going to be 40 times the well, in the bottom one, okay, so height is going to be different for the hanging and for the other one. So let's just do the normal vine first. It's a little bit simpler. So the the bottom vine height is going to be 40 times whatever the gap is. So if the gap is at 1, the height of this bottom section should just be 1 segment, which is 40 times find gap times 40 px. So this one is going to be 680 minus vine.gap times 40 px. So this style is going to change from manually saying all that to just hanging vine like so. Oh, except it's in a template. It's not just a string. Okay. And the other one is going to be vine. I think that's right. Let me change the gap. Set the gap to 1. And now it's way down there. And we'll set it to 16. So you have 16 segments, 17, 18. Yeah, all right. So we got a gap. I think we'll just start with it at 10. That seems like a reasonable height. Okay. Next is moving the bird. So we've got an X position, we've got a DX. So really all we need to do is just update the vine in here. So I guess we'll call it new vine, since calling the other ones new whatever. New vine is vine X is vine.x plus vine.dx. Whoa. Okay, that was it's a little bit rapid. Let's change this to 0.1. I think that's about right. Okay. So if the vine gets to the end of the screen, we want to bring it back to 20 and put the gap in a random spot, I guess. So I may break this into a separate update function later, but for now we'll just do a case. So case case vine dot x minus vine or plus vine dot dx. If the x value is less than 0, so x less than 0, we'll make a new vine. So say x is 19, and gap is going to be enum dot random from 1 to 16. Otherwise, It's basically this line. I think that's what's wrong here. Cannot invoke a remote function enum.random. Okay. That shouldn't be inside a match though. X is less than 0. Y is and new vine is going to be no arguments at all. And it's just going to return x19 gap enum.random from 1 to 16 and dx negative 0.1. And this vine can actually use that now. Which I'm not sure I can combine it there. Well, we'll just won't worry about the default for the time being. Not invoke right. Same issue. Okay. Hum. Ooh, this is almost playable. This is just about there. So really, we just need collision detection and game states. All right. Game over. Okay. Now, collision detection. Only time collision detection can happen is when the bird is at the same X value as the vines. So collision, I guess when it's within 1, because these aren't moving in entire increments. So when the bird Y or when the bird X, I should say, when X is not the bird X, the vine X. Let's see, when the vine X is, actually we'll just do the logic inside the function body. So EMG so when X is greater than, I guess when, will be when X is about 2. So we'll say when X is between 2.2 and 1.8, something like that. So when X is greater than 1.8 and X is less than 2.2. What's wrong here? We're not using Y. But we will. That's fine. So now should stop as soon as we're just about up to the vines. Boom. In fact, I think we want to make that more like when X is greater than 2 point or less than 2.5. Because the bird is almost its entire 40 pixels. Like the flapping will take up 40 pixels. Now that's a little bit silly. 2.7. That seems fine. Okay, so 2.7 and 1.5, we'll say. I'll be a little bit more lenient on the exit. So what we're going to do is we're going to check for the Y, the bird Y and the gap. So I think I will just do like an absolute value. So case bird dot or case Y is what's the absolute values? They're just math dot abs. Oh, just kernel abs. Okay. Very nice. So case absolute value of bird.y minus find.gap. We've already captured this y. If the gap is less than 0.5, then it's game over. Otherwise, it's just game as usual. Y. I think that's a little bit cleaner. What's wrong? Looks like do on 47 does not have a matching end. That's totally true. Let's see, Vine on line 48. So when the absolute value of a mosquito in here keeps on threatening to get me, but my fan is on, so it's not. I think this should work. Let's see. X does not exist when vine.x and vine. Yeah, that's okay. We'll just call this V. All right. This is a little bit harder to test. So that worked. That worked. And that worked. So our function is not quite working. Let's see. When the absolute value of bird y minus, you know what? Let's print them both. io.puts bird.y and gap v.gap. Or rather than, yeah, let's not io puts it. Let's just put that in our page live. got away again. Darn it. Why does that not work? That puts fine. Oh, there's no. Oh, right. It's going to be module attributes. Okay, bird 7. Okay. Oh, those don't line up at all. Because the gap is counting up from the bottom. Oh, that's annoying. Probably should switch that around. Okay, I'll do that. So the gap is now going to be, let's see, the height is now going to be 6. And gap times 40. That'll make it more complicated though, because then I would have like a 17 minus the vine gap. Or if I'm just counting from the top, this one I'd say the vine gap times 40, and then this one would be 680 minus vine gap times 40. So now the gap is at 10. Boom. Because I've got it counting backwards. I've got the logic backwards. If the gap is that small, then we're good. Okay. So all that's really left after this would be animations, I think. Let's add some score to this. So we'll print out the bird. Actually, I don't think we even really need that, but I'll just keep it up in case there's some debugging. And we'll put the score here. Oof. This feels a little bit hard. Okay, we got score 1. What? There's no float dot round. That's pretty weird. Because there's a brief point. Oh, because when I very first create the bird, it's not a float. I create it as an integer, and then I start making small increments to it, and it turns into a float. So let us fix that problem. Oof, that's rough. Wow, I suck at my game. Uh, was doing okay an hour ago though. I think, yeah, time to call it a night. I can get 5 points. You know, I wonder if the real Flappy Bird has acceleration, or if it's just like a plain falling velocity. One thing for sure, like if this, oh, maybe I should decrease the flapping power. I think that's probably the biggest single problem. It's just so hard to have any kind of light touch. Okay, flapping power 0.12. Yeah, this is much easier. Five points. I'm out. All right. thanks for watching. Those of you who did, Flappy Phoenix is pretty much good to go, and I am happy to move on to the writing for this chapter later.